Rachel Zegler just lived through every Hollywood actor's worst nightmare, watching her own movie flop in real time inside a nearly empty theater. Not even Discount Tuesday could save it. The much-hyped woke Snow White remake didn't just bomb, it practically disappeared without a trace. And there was Zegler, 23, sitting front and center with just a handful of her ride-or-die friends, witnessing the crash and burn firsthand. For someone once dubbed Hollywood's next big thing, this was a rough wake-up call. Tidil Marchbais spoke loud and clear. No one showed up. On March 25, 2025, Rachel rounded up a loyal crew, Ilda Mason, Jorge Mason, Remy, and Maria Isabel Demison, for a trip to the theater that felt more like a ghost town than a premiere. And thanks to Ilda's Instagram stories, we got a painfully awkward glimpse into the experience. As Rachel's name appeared on the screen, Ilda screamed it out with pride. Rachel responded with a nervous laugh and a half-hearted cheer, clearly trying to make light of the situation. Whether they rented out the theater or the empty seats just came with the movie, one thing was obvious. They were nearly the only ones there. Trying to salvage the moment, the group jumped on a viral trend, approaching a Regal employee and asking, "2 tickets, please." When the staffer politely asked, "For which movie?" The camera cut to them holding a Snow White-themed popcorn bucket and souvenir cup, looking completely stunned.
For which movie?
As if the night wasn't awkward enough, Rachel Zegler stood clutching a bouquet of flowers, probably a pity gift from her friends, since the box office wasn't handing out any wins. She may have played Snow White, but the only thing this film is kissing is rock bottom. With just $3.5 million in Thursday previews and a rough $43 million opening weekend, Disney's woke Snow White didn't just flop, it flopped hard. Compared to The Little Mermaid remake's $95 million debut, this isn't just a different ballpark, it's not even the same ocean. Even Dumbo, yes, Dumbo managed to pull similar numbers with a way smaller budget. And speaking of budgets, Snow White reportedly cost over $250 million to make, and that's before marketing. Now, with theaters practically empty, critics are feasting. Social media is flooded with empty seating charts and sad, scattered audience photos showing entire rows with just 1 or 2 people. And because the internet never misses a beat, some users are jokingly calling for a GoFundMe to help Disney break even. To make matters worse, an old interview clip of Zegler has resurfaced. And yeah, it's not aging gracefully. In the now viral video, Rachel confidently claims that people would line up to see her films. Fast forward to today, and the only thing piling up are the receipts. And they're all screaming one thing: Snow White is officially a royal disaster.
To everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Fast forward to reality, and the only line forming now is online, where the internet's lining up to roast her. Theaters across the country were ghost towns. Ticket sales? A total disaster. And critics didn't waste a second before tearing into her performance and the film itself. One social media user didn't hold back, saying, "Welcome back to reality, princess. Snow White was a complete flop." Then came Ian Miles Cheong, throwing more gasoline on the fire by reposting Rachel's old clip on X, just to remind the world that Snow White now holds the unfortunate title of Disney's lowest performing live-action remake in decades.
This is really a bad movie, and I apologize to Walt Disney himself. I'm sorry.
Turns out Snow White wasn't the only thing crashing and burning. So was Rachel Zegler's relationship with co-star Gal Gadot. A bombshell report from Variety just blew the lid off the behind-the-scenes chaos surrounding Disney's latest disaster, and spoiler alert, Zegler was right in the middle of the storm. According to anonymous, but very Disney-connected insiders, studio execs were already uneasy about Rachel's tone-deaf comments, dragging the original Snow White. But instead of stepping in, they stayed silent, hoping the storm would pass. Then came the real curveball. Zegler took the stage at Disney's D23 event, smiling, charming, doing all the right things, until she dropped a bold, unexpected political statement in her gratitude post. And just like that, jaws dropped. Disney hit panic mode instantly. Execs were stunned. Their $270 million fairy tale had just spiraled into a full-blown PR nightmare. And suddenly, damage control became the studio's #1 mission.
Behind the scenes, you guys know as well as I do that those executives like Spielberg are looking at that, saying, Rachel Zegler can F right off.
Now, Jonah Platt has stepped in, and the shade he's throwing at Rachel Zegler is next level. Jonah, the son of Snow White producer Mark Platt, took to Instagram in a now-deleted comment to publicly call out Zegler for the film's box office disaster. And let's just say he didn't sugarcoat a thing. According to Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, and People, Jonah spilled that his dad literally had to hop on a plane to personally confront Rachel over her decision to mix politics with the movie's press tour. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, Jonah wrote, before straight up saying her behavior clearly tanked the film's chances. Apparently, even after Mark Platt flew to New York to beg Rachel to tone things down, she wasn't exactly open to the idea, and that post stayed live for quite a while. Meanwhile, Zegler's dynamic with co-star Gal Gadot, that fairy tale fell apart fast. While insiders said they were all smiles during filming, things got awkward leading up to the release. And it didn't end there, after the two presented together at the 2025 Oscars in what many called a tense appearance. Rachel followed it up with a shady Instagram reply that raised eyebrows. She basically called Gadot a professional pageant queen, a comment the internet instantly clocked as a subtle dig. Even Disney insiders admitted it felt like a low blow toward a fellow actress. But behind the scenes, tensions were already boiling. Turns out, Zegler and Gadot had landed on opposite sides of a highly charged political issue, and the fallout was impossible to ignore.
Zegler also faced blowback after posting Free Palestine. Gadot is from Israel and served in the Israeli army.
Rachel Zegler's social media posts didn't just stir drama. They sparked a firestorm that brought real-world consequences. Her outspoken, one-sided political comments reportedly caused major issues for Gal Gadot, whose own background made her the target of intense backlash and even threats to her safety. It got so serious, Disney had to step in and provide extra security for the mother of 4. She didn't understand the impact of her words, not just on the film, but on Gal and everyone involved, an insider revealed. And as if the $270 million disaster of a film wasn't already bleeding money, thanks to costly reshoots and Zegler's endless controversies, one moment took things from bad to worse. After the presidential election, Zegler posted on Instagram, made Trump's supporters never know peace. That one sentence sent Disney execs into full-blown crisis mode. At that point, they'd had enough. She was already alienating half the audience of an already struggling film. Desperate to salvage what was left, producer Mark Platt personally flew out, not once, but twice, to meet with her. After a long back and forth, Zegler finally agreed to let a Disney-paid social media expert review every single post in the lead-up to the film's March 21st release. But just when it seemed like the tension between Zegler and Gadot had cooled, the internet caught something else. On March 20th, just hours before Snow White limped into theaters, Zegler shared a heartfelt Instagram post calling the film a life-changing experience. She gushed about the incredible crew and how she fell in love with the team after 3 magical summers filming in London. But one name was missing: Gal Gadot. No mention, no photos, and the internet noticed. Could it have been an honest mistake? Maybe. But after her Oscar night dig and all the behind-the-scenes drama, fans took it as another icy snub, and the drama didn't stop there. If Snow White's disastrous box office wasn't already a fairy tale nightmare, the swirling controversies surrounding Zegler sure didn't help. From the moment Disney cast her as their new princess, the internet exploded. Some critics objected to a Latina actress playing the traditionally pale-skinned character, echoing the backlash Halle Bailey faced as the Little Mermaid's Ariel. But Zegler didn't stay quiet. In a now-deleted post, she clapped back at critics. "Yes, I am Snow White. No, I am not bleaching my skin for the role." According to the Wall Street Journal, she even labeled her haters as losers obsessed with maintaining the bloodline purity of a cartoon princess. That didn't exactly calm the outrage. In a 2022 Variety interview with Andrew Garfield, Zegler admitted she'd become a trending topic because of all the angry noise online. And while controversy can sometimes fuel a film's success, Snow White isn't catching that kind of magic. From day one, this remake has been fighting an uphill battle, and Zegler's own words have often made the climb steeper. In one infamous 2022 interview with Extra, she called the original 1937 storyline weird. There's this huge focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird, she said, referring to Prince Charming.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird. So we didn't do that.
Disney had already teased a modern take on Snow White, but Rachel Zegler's comments made it sound like she was completely tossing the original's iconic romance in the trash, and that did not sit well with fans. What really set people off was when she claimed the film was taking a totally different approach. Critics argued she wasn't just updating a classic, she was outright disrespecting it. After all, Snow White isn't just any movie. It was Disney's first full-length, animated feature and a beloved piece of cinematic history. Fans flooded social media with backlash. One user on X summed up the sentiment, "If you hate the story so much, why even take the role?" But things were just getting started. The Snow White remake wasn't only under fire because of Zegler's casting, it was also stirring up deeper controversy behind the scenes. Enter Peter Dinklage. Back in 2022, during an episode of the WTF with Mark Maron podcast, the Game of Thrones star did not hold back. He slammed Disney's decision to cast a Latina Snow White while still sticking with a storyline about 7 dwarfs. To him, it was a glaring contradiction, and he wasn't alone. Dinklage called out Disney for congratulating itself on being progressive with casting, while still pushing what he called a backwards and outdated narrative. The irony wasn't lost on the public either. And just like that, what was supposed to be a fairy tale reboot quickly turned into a PR nightmare.
Aggressive in one way, but you're still making that f***ing backward story of 7 dwarves living in a cave. What the f*** are you doing?
He questioned how a studio could claim to be pushing progress in one area while still clinging to what he saw as a tone-deaf, outdated portrayal of dwarves living together in a cave. Dinklage didn't sugarcoat it, and his bold take instantly lit a firestorm across the internet. The backlash came fast. Some supported his stance, calling Disney out for selective wokeness, while others felt he was overanalyzing a fairy tale. And just when the flames started dying down, Wayman stepped in to toss in his 2 cents, adding even more heat to an already sizzling controversy.
You're replacing jobs that people could have as little people. Okay. Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, it's 4 dwarfs. You know?
Some applauded Peter for calling out Disney's cherry-picked version of progress, while others accused him of erasing opportunities for actors with dwarfism. The debate got loud, fast, and Disney was clearly paying attention. The very next day, the studio scrambled to respond, releasing a statement claiming they were taking a different approach with the 7 dwarfs and had been consulting members of the dwarfism community. That different approach turned out to be scrapping the classic 7 dwarfs altogether, and their replacement, CGI dwarfs. The internet was not impressed. Fans took one look at Disney's hyper-realistic, computer-generated characters and collectively recoiled. The photorealism missed the mark entirely, and instead of magic, it just felt off.
Totally uplifting and the right way to be woke, Link, when you actually cancel the roles for the marginalized population, because just putting them on screen is somehow racist.
Instead of capturing the heart and charm of the original animated characters, Disney's CGI replacements came off as stiff, unnatural, and honestly, just straight up bizarre. And just like that, another chapter in the long, chaotic Snow White saga turned into a fresh lightning rod for controversy. But after all that drama, the real question became, would Disney go big with a red carpet rollout, or quietly sweep this PR disaster under said carpet? Turns out, they went for the latter. According to Variety, Disney ditched the usual glitz and glam, opting for a low-key daytime event on March 15th, followed by a quiet screening at Hollywood's legendary El Capitan Theater. Even the European premiere skipped its usual sparkle, no London Leicester Square moment. Instead, they tucked it away inside a remote castle in northern Spain. So what does that tell us? Was it a lack of confidence, fear of more backlash, or just a quiet admission that this film might not be what they hoped? Whatever the reason, it was clear. For a project already drowning in scandal, this muted premiere was yet another sign that Disney was bracing for impact. With no real celebration, non-stop controversy, and a box office return that couldn't even begin to justify its massive $270 million price tag, Snow White didn't feel like a magical comeback. It felt like a full-blown cautionary tale. But the big question still remains. How did Disney fumble this so badly? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're not done diving into the Snow White drama, this next video's got even more tea.